2 years ago, I took a summer job as a fire lookout in a remote section of a national forest in the Pacific Northwest. The job was simple: live alone in a glass-walled tower 80 feet above the ground and watch for smoke. I was airlifted in, and my nearest co-worker was stationed in another tower nearly 20 miles away. My only connection to the outside world was a heavy-duty, two-way radio. For the first 3 weeks, it was the most peaceful experience of my life. I read books, drank coffee, and watched the sunsets over the endless ocean of pine trees. Then came the second week of August. A massive, violent thunderstorm rolled in around midnight. The wind howled against the glass walls of my cabin, and a nearby lightning strike completely fried my radio. I was completely cut off. By 2 a.m., the storm had passed, leaving behind a thick, heavy fog and dead silence. I was trying to fall back asleep when I heard it. It was faint at first, coming from the forest floor 80 feet below. "Help! Please, is someone up there? I'm hurt." It was a woman's voice. She sounded terrified and out of breath. My heart started pounding. It was absolutely impossible for a hiker to be out in this restricted sector, especially after a storm like that. "Please, my leg is broken. Help me." The voice cried out again. I jumped out of bed, grabbed my heavy, high-powered halogen spotlight, and rushed out onto the metal catwalk that wrapped around the tower. The air was freezing. "Hold on. I'm shining a light down," I yelled over the railing. I flipped the switch. The massive beam of light pierced through the fog and hit the forest floor below. I slowly swept the light back and forth across the base of the tower and the tree line. "Then keep talking so I can find you," I shouted. "Help? Please, is someone up there? I'm hurt." "Ben," the voice came from just inside the tree line about 50 yards away. I snapped the spotlight toward the sound. The beam illuminated a thick cluster of pine trees. But there was no woman. Standing behind a large oak tree was a creature. It was at least 7 feet tall, unnaturally thin, with pale, grayish skin stretched tight over its bones. Its arms were impossibly long, the fingers dragging in the dirt. It didn't cover its eyes from the blinding light. It just stared directly up at me. Then it opened its jaw. It unhinged impossibly wide. And from its throat, that exact same terrified woman's voice echoed out. "Please, my leg is broken. Help me." It wasn't a recording. It was perfectly mimicking human distress to lure me down in the dark. I froze in pure, paralyzing terror. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. The creature closed its mouth. It stepped out from behind the tree and walked toward the base of my tower. Its movements were completely silent, smooth, and unnatural. It reached the bottom of my tower, and then I heard the sound that still haunts my nightmares. Clang. Mundik grabbed the first metal rung of the staircase. Clang, lang. Clang. Clang. It was climbing. And it was climbing fast. I rushed back inside, slammed the heavy metal door, threw the deadbolt, and backed into the farthest corner of the room, gripping a fire axe. I listened as the heavy metallic footsteps reached the top landing, just outside my door. For the next 6 hours, it circled the glass cabin. It dragged its long, bony fingers against the windows. It tapped on the glass, and every few minutes, it would use my own voice, the voice I had used to shout down at it, pleading, "Hold on, I'm shining a light down." And I sat in the dark, crying silently, waiting for the glass to break. But it never did. When the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the footsteps simply stopped. When the replacement helicopter arrived 3 days later, I packed my bags and never looked back. Never looked back. I don't know what that thing in the woods was, It was hunting me, and it knew exactly how to use our humanity against us.